All right, guys. Okay, trying a little live show, man. I took a sleeping pill last night. Looked like crap this morning because usually getting 4 hours of sleep at a time for days will take a toll on you. So when I take a sleeping pill, it takes a toll on me. So I figured I'll try to look a little nice today, put on a little gold tie. We're also using natural lighting. Also, I'm trying something new with the chat, trying to get a better quality. I did a test run this morning, and what you're seeing, people liked. Hey, what's up, Scott? What's going on, man? And so I feel like I trail like I'm on acid when I do it this way, but people in the test chat said this looked better and sounded better. So we'll see what's going on. Yesterday, I ended up hitting Hillsville Flea Market, the big Labor Day event that they have twice a year. Hey, what's up, Matilda? And I shot a video of the stuff I picked up, and I talked about the goings-ons there a little bit and stuff. And it has been stuck in YouTube at 95% processed for almost 24 hours. So I decided we'll just do it this way and have a little live show and take our time and have fun, and I'll talk about the show. Oh, look at that tie. Yeah, I'm not a big tie wearer, even though I look damn good in them. But anyway. So anyway, I get down there, and what if you don't know what it is? I've talked about it before. Yeah, I'm doing well. It's good to see that you're doing good, Matilda. All right, Comic Fan is there. He's ready to see some books. Okay, so if you watched my YouTube videos for years, I hit the Hillsville Flea Market twice a year, Memorial Weekend, and it rains every time that flea market. I missed it this time, Scott. But anyway, Memorial Day and Labor Day, they have the flea market where they turn the whole town into a flea market. Memorial Day, it's about half the size that it usually is. And then on Labor Day, it's a huge event where they estimate over or close to 1 million people show up for during the entire weekend. All right, Dingo says, can't stand how depressing the comic book industry has become. But yesterday I got 2 flash trades, one from Grant and Mark Miller, and the other one from Geoff Johns. So excited when I saw them. Yeah, back issues are big. My last live stream that I did, I kind of talked about some of that. So anyway, I get down there, and I get down there pretty early. I'm half asleep. I actually ended up leaving my phone in my car by accident because it was so damn early, and I hadn't been sleeping this week. So I didn't have my checklist, but I still found some great books. Didn't get a whole lot, but I'm starting to get what I need. And about the biggest thing when I decided to quit, I was there about 3 hours, and I probably hit about half of the flea market. There were a lot more comic book vendors there than usually are. There's one guy named Mr. Brady that I highly recommend. Something going on in the chat there. I'm just going to kind of let it go for a minute so I can get through this here, man. But so there's like a lot. I had a good time. A lot of great people there. Got recognized from the YouTube channel, believe it or not. But finally, it was getting around 11 o'clock. I'd been there about 3 hours. And then turned around, and I'm in like a huge amount of people, right? I'm right in the middle of this big, huge crowd. People have baby strollers, and they're pulling their carts, getting stuff. I mean, it's serious business to go to this flea market. So we turned around, and all of a sudden it just stopped. The whole thing just stopped. So on top of having like the sun beating down on us, we're like, I'm sitting there, you can start feeling the body heat of everybody and stuff like that. So I kind of get to the side. I'm able to weave through there. And this is why I left, because I was about to lose it, man. This is not a social event. It's a flea market where people are there to shop and find things and get great deals. And there was these 2 old ladies talking to 2 other old ladies, and they had their little baby carriages with their little poodles in them with battery-operated fans on them, sitting there having a hen party, blocking hundreds of people on both sides. I could not believe it, man. I was like, that's it. I'm out of here. Nobody came to see your damn foo-foo dogs and their little fans, and you're humiliating those dogs. Those dogs don't know that they're supposed to be little cute display trophy animals. They still think they're in the Serengeti running with the hyenas and stuff in their head. Yeah, Hillsville, Virginia. Oh, yeah, dressing up for the show. Soon you'll have a professional camera and a green screen. If people start throwing super chats at me, all that money would go to producing better videos. I use natural lighting and whatever freaking camera I can find around here, right? So anyways, I was walking around and stuff. You're probably going to see these comics in another video if the damn thing ever uploads and stuff. It's a weekend of trying my patience. That's all there is to it. But real quick, the first thing I got here, this is Incredible Hulk 327 from the 80s. But this is kind of completes a little run I had there where Al Milgrom took over the Hulk somewhere after John Byrne did, but right before Peter David did. And it was really cool. We ended up getting Rick Jones becoming the Hulk, and General Thunderbolt Ross ends up becoming Zax and stuff like that. It was just a fun little run, and it kind of brought back the Gray Hulk due to a chemical bath that Peter David got a hold of and ran with. So, yeah, just something real simple there, right? But the Mr. Brady that I was telling you about, he gave me 2 really good deals, man. It was just fantastic, right? I did a little bit of a hustle on these. I didn't get much of a break. He knows who I am, but he was very complimentary of my channel and the way I talk about comics and stuff, and told me about some older videos that he kind of wished I would do now, like I did then. And I talk about it in the video if it uploads, or maybe I talked about it in a live stream, but I feel like I'm the Woody Allen of the comic book community. Everybody thinks my stuff's all right now, but they want to go back to the funnier, wittier stuff, that I did, like, Woody Allen, his movies. Milgram did a good job considering he had to wing it after Byrne left the comic and Marvel in a hurry. What do we got here? We got Chris W. here. I've been known to road trip for a good flea market. I think that's when they banished Hulk to another dimension right before 300. Oh, yeah, people talking about this stuff. Cool, man. So anyway, he gave me 2 really good deals on this. I'm down to needing 4 keys. And what's so funny is I can't remember the 4th one, but the keys that I'm wanting to get, my 4 Holy Grail keys, Fantastic Four, was it 26 and 27, where in the Silver Age, where the Hulk is fighting the Fantastic Four in the Avengers on a unfinished building, if you will, on iron girders. I've always loved that story, and I really like to get those. New Teen Titans number 2 with the first appearance of Deathstroke, which that's a pipe dream, and Harbinger number 1, which I think is also a pipe dream. But that's because I think I just need 1 more issue, which would be Harbinger number 1, that had the complete Jim Shooter era of Valiant, which to me is gold. All right, that's the good stuff. Oh, Charlton 66 is here. Charlton 66, he and I will be going to Baltimore Comic-Con at the end of the month, man. I've got a new phone, but I put up my own phone, Steve, just to let you know that it should have your old number on it. If not, I'll just send you a message somewhere to get your number if I can't pull it off my old phone. But anyway, this is a key book, Solar number 3, right? I was not able to collect the first couple issues of Solar and Magnus when they came out. I have them now. Basically because the life was going on. So backed up, and all of a sudden this one really took off because this is the first appearance of a villain. Now, I think it was going to have ties to a Bloodshot movie that was announced or something, right? But anyway, he gave me a great deal on this. That leaves Harbinger number 1, and I'll have the complete Jim Shooter era of Valiant. Thank you, Mr. Brady. And he also threw this one at me because as I put that book back, and I was going to go running around the flea market, I had to dig through some boxes to find it again. And I found a Frankenstein Monster of Frankenstein number 2, which I needed for the Mike Ploog years there. I'm a huge Mike Ploog fan. I'm a huge Bronze Age horror fan. So finding this was just fantastic, man. And I also think it's kind of interesting that I found a couple books where the theme was holding someone. This will match right up with Crisis Infinite Earths number 7 for you comic book aficionados out there, right? But anyway, always loved this. What was his name? Gary Fendrick. I hope I'm saying that name right, has passed away. He was a huge, to me, he was a huge writer in the 70s. He co-created Ghost Rider and things like that. And, he was working with Mike Ploog here. So I think this is just fantastic. He and Ploog did a couple things together there. That was just fantastic. Thanks. So showed you those. And then a couple weeks ago, I bet I've already put it up. A couple weeks ago, I showed you a Batman comic. If the regular video ever uploads, you'll see what I'm talking about. But when I was about 4 years old, I found a stack of coverless comics in the house. Oh, thanks there, Steve. Appreciate it. Cool. People are just going off in the chat there. So basically, when I was a little kid, when I was 4 years old, I found a stack of coverless comics, and they were ripped up, no cover, didn't have the front page with most of them. And I turned around, I just read those for like 3 or 4 days, just studying them and stuff. And I recently found out that one was a Batman that I got. And I shot a video about rereading the Batman 41 years later. But the other one was this, Captain Marvel number 20, right? And this has incredible Gil Kane art in it. This has Roy Thomas coming in there, and he's pulling from Shazam to do this book, right? Because at the time, this came out in 1970. DC got the rights to Shazam around 73. And Marvel had already pulled the name Captain Marvel and trademarked it, so they couldn't call the actual title Shazam or Captain Marvel, so they called it Shazam. But in this book, before DC even got all those rights and stuff, Roy Thomas was pulling from the lore of the original Captain Marvel, where Billy Batson would say the magic word and get turned into the adult or whatever of Captain Marvel. And I was watching the live action TV show that was on Saturday mornings back then of Shazam and of Isis, right? So I'm reading this as a kid, no cover on it. Gil Kane's art is like blowing me away. Reading this, it was all I put Walt Simonson and Gil Kane in the same category. When I see their stuff, I see math for some reason. I don't know if it's their angular style, thin pencils or whatever. But basically, what Roy Thomas had done is that he put something called negabands on the wrist of Captain Marvel and Rick Jones, and they could only share space in our world one at a time. Whoever classed the negabands together, they would trade places with the other person in the negative zone. I think it was just a great concept where I was like, they're doing Shazam, they're doing Captain Marvel. Yeah, never pass up coverless comics, in my opinion. I think they're great stuff. I'd smell them, make sure they don't stink. Okay, so something I just kind of grabbed. This was, I'll grab John Byrne art whenever I can, but this is Thing versus Man Thing. I was disappointed it wasn't a giant size Man Thing, but it's not the size of your Man Thing. It's, how do you use it? You know what I mean? But anyway, this was just a fun little Marvel 2-in-1 with John Byrne. I like John Byrne's Marvel team up. That's sort of underrated before he became huge on X-Men and Fantastic Four. But Marvel 2-1 number 3. I'm a Man Thing fan, Swamp Thing fan. Anything to do with the swamp and stuff. I remember some issues of Captain Marvel had Rick Jones wearing a red shirt over a yellow T-shirt to mirror Billy Batson's color scheme. Oh, that's funny. I'll keep an eye out for that. Now that you're saying that, I don't know if you're putting the memory in my head or something like that, but it seems like I do remember that. Sounds like Lady Hawk with Space Ghost power bands. Nice, Scott. Very nice. Is that the Red Ghost? No, that's not the Red Ghost. I haven't read it, but it's one of those weird 70s barbarian types, But he has a cosmic cube. Maybe I should check that out. No. First page looks like it's just your ordinary cult of the devil, with despair in the background there. So, yeah, it's a cult of despair, I guess. Nope, that's the Entropic Man. Very cool, very well done, Paulo. But it does look like the Red Ghost. Yeah. All right. Now, I've talked about, I'm not really into a lot of modern comics. I don't really get excited about them. I think it's a lot of recycling of characters instead of creating new ones, a lot of merging characters together, making an amalgam of them, if you will, amalgamation. But one of the things that some of my friends have been excited about that they mentioned is the Cosmic Ghost Rider and stuff, right? And I don't really shit on it when they talk about it because they're excited about it and they tell me the story and they say it's cool, it's tied to Thanos and Punisher and all this stuff, and okay, cool, right? So basically it's the Punisher being the Ghost Rider in space, right? Well, one of the reasons I could not really get excited about it is that I've seen it before. Back in the day, my brother would collect comics. I would collect comics. He would buy his comics. I would buy my comics. And then we would trade off reading them. So we saved money and we would still read everything. So we turn around here and we get this and we get Guardians of the Galaxy where we have the Cosmic Ghost Rider. This is in the early 90s. And this is Guardians of the Galaxy number 13. And it says, is this the Ghost Rider of the future? Well, apparently it was, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm just sort of like, is this going to be a key book now? Is this the real first appearance of the Cosmic Ghost Rider? Technically it is, but we'll see what happens. Things are different. Now in the 80s, what was so funny about it, about the 80s was we had horror movies. Friday the 13th was huge. Nightmare on Elm Street was huge, and just sort of thing. There was definitely a really cool horror genre where you went to the video store and you're able to rent these stinkers. You know what I'm saying? And Nightmare on Elm Street was the one that got me because Freddy Krueger became the Freddy Krueger of your dreams because he was basically a pedophile that didn't go to jail because of a technicality. So the parents of Elm Street went and burned him down and killed him. Right. So all of a sudden Halloween rolls around after Elm Street's been around for a few years, and I see these 8-year-old little kids dressed up like Freddy Krueger in Freddy Krueger costumes on Halloween. And I'm like, this is nuts, man. And so we turn around, and all of a sudden, you know, they're appealing. Freddy, this blew my mind how Freddy Krueger appealed to kids, you know. So we have an issue of Count Duckula where we have, you know, basically a cartoon version of Freddy Krueger in a kid's book. It blows my mind. I think it's hilarious. You know, it says Freddy's back in his front and a Nightmare on Elm Street. But it just kind of cracks me up. Now, I loved my Danger Mouse. I loved my Count Duckula. I loved my Banana Man. You know, strong as, you know, 10 men, 10 big men. I loved all those cartoons and stuff. And it was just kind of fun to see these guys kind of permeate into the hobby and stuff. But the Freddy Krueger thing is always something that's going to make me chuckle about how it had kid appeal. You know, we had Chucky, the doll. You figure that'd be the one. All right. What else do we have here? Okay, I found this. I always pick these up. It blows my mind how I can find these in dollar bins and quarter bins and stuff, because it's a fantastic series. Alex Ross comes out with the painted comic, Kurt Busiek. They're tying the golden age and the silver age of Marvel all together through the eyes of a photographer, which is just fantastic. A retelling, pulling things together. You see the hidden continuity of those stories back then. He kind of does some things, and it culminates with the beginning of arguably the Bronze Age, of the death of Gwen Stacy. This is all Gwen Stacy centric about why she was important. Wow, I never knew there was a Duckula comic. Cosgrove Hall cartoons are the best. Yes, they are. The same with Toxic Avenger. Yes, I've passed up some Toxic Avenger comic books. I love Toxic Avenger. The Toxic Avenger #4, Citizen Toxie, kind of pushed a few things with me, but I was like, wow, you know. I think it's because Freddy was funny, had charisma and cool powers. Yeah, I mean, to me, I hear the charisma. The charisma part was a big part of it. Pinfold. Pinfold is the ultimate sidekick. I like Duckula a lot more than I did Danger Mouse. I'm the other way around. Duckula was great, but I was a Danger Mouse guy. I got 2 or 3 of them on, I got 2 or 3 VHS tapes of Danger Mouse. I absolutely loved Danger Mouse when it came out. Well, over here, when it came out over here, we got exposed to it on Nickelodeon. Cracky DM. Yes, we got some Danger Mouse fans out there. Awesome. He became a kid's character. Marvel's is some of Ross's best artwork. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, his most passionate. I think he had something to prove with that series. There's an energy in that book that he just threw in there. I mean, Kingdom Come is fantastic. That's like the refined Alex Ross, but there's something raw in Marvel's. As a novelty, I like Marvels, but I'm generally opposed to hyperrealism in comic books. That's Red Vitamin Blue. What's up, brother? Hyperrealism, I think, has its place, just like anything else, but I actually think there's something to a more, I hate to use the word cartoony style, but there's a certain type of expression that you can't do in hyperrealism. I think you can convey a story by having some over exaggeration of facial features and stuff. You know, that's part of a psychology of using, you know, the comics medium to tell stories and stuff. There's a lot to be said for, you know, exaggerating expressions and stuff. So yeah, I'm with you, Red Vitamin Blue. Judging on your comments over the years and stuff and things like that, I know we could really get into that. I prefer his artwork on Kingdom Come than I do Marvel's. That's what I just said a minute ago. Kingdom Come to me is just, I think I like it better than Marvel's, but when I'm objective and I look at I compare the 2 books with the artwork, like I said, there's a rawness to the artwork that Alex Ross did in Marvels. There's a different energy where you get to Kingdom Come, man. It's like he's a master. He's a master of the storytelling craft by the time he gets to that. So many Easter eggs and just great. He's the pacing. I mean, what he does is amazing. Yep. Then we get down here, all thanks to Robert Englund's performance. He's a fantastic guy. I've seen interviews behind the scenes with him. I've have a few friends that went to monster conventions and met him, and I've never heard a horrible story about that guy. I remember figuring out when Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, was the dude from a TV show called V. I'm like, well, good for him. I think Marvel's had a more faded and washed out look, like it was a memory or an aged. And I think that played into it. I don't know if that was on purpose or anything, but yeah, the tones of the sky, the blues, the color palette. I picture he used reference material like old postcards and pictures, maybe, or something. I mean, if you go through there, he threw in little Easter eggs like Led Zeppelin walking down the street, or it was Blue Oyster Cult. But he hit a lot. He has a lot of things in there. And I mean, it really felt like 1972, 1973 by the end of Marvels, you know. All right, guys. The Cerebus stuff. I'm probably within 75 issues of having the entire run of Cerebus that I want. And that's not including the phone books. I mean, the actual issues, because I love the covers. The covers actually play into the story. I end up double dipping. Where I left my phone in my car, I never imagined that I would find a dealer down there who had a short box of Cerebus books. They had the complete run of Melmoth. They had the complete run of the guy's storyline. They had the complete line of Latter Days, Going Home, and so on and so forth. And I've got bits and pieces of all those. So I just went with, I'm not about to walk a mile back through hundreds of people to my car to get my checklist that I have on there. So I just went ahead and I bought most of the run of Rick's story of the Cerebus storyline, right? This is 220 to 231 assorted issues. They'll be in my video. Oh no, my chat disappeared, guys. There we go. It came back. Speaking of Cerebus, did you hear Dave Sims is talking with EVS about producing a comic? I'm down. I am so down if Dave Sim is going to be producing new work. I love Skyver's artwork. The thing about Skyver is that he's heavily influenced, I think, when you look at it, by Brian Boland. And then he also has, I think, I'm not sure where, I don't know if I read it or if he said it online, John Bogdanove. Now, which may not be able to say the name. Dude worked on Power Pack. He did Man of Steel forever with Louis Simonson. Just a great guy. So John is. I love his artwork. So yeah, if you know, Skyver's got those sorts of influences, and we get Dave Sim in there, I'm so down. Talk about wouldn't it be great if Dave Sim was responsible for the indie market blowing up twice? You know, 40 years apart. He's going to work on Cyber Frog. Really, Dave Sim on that makes sense. Makes sense. Aardvark. Can you imagine if an Aardvark meets the Cyber Frog? That's going to be wild. Good stuff, man. And then Paulo's out there. So we're going to be on board with this. Paulo, Mind the Comics, Comic Crack, and I, we are kind of taking our time going through volumes of Swamp Thing. What do you think about Darkness and Witchblade? Why is my phone going off? What do you think about Darkness and Witchblade? Somebody said pass. Is Power Pack the one with the kids? Yeah. Where are we here? Darkness and Witchblade. Not a fan of them, but Garth Ennis. I read some of the Garth Ennis Darkness books. I'm a big Ennis fan. I think it's more for me with those two characters. The two's working on them. I feel like they're both kind of. Sometimes you have a thing where it's just too convoluted. You have to work too hard to make it believable instead of being organic. So yeah. Okay. So basically I found some Swamp Thing, right? I read this, well, flipped through this and stuff when I got it home. This is Swamp Thing Annual, number 4. This is after Moore left, and we have Steve Bissett coming on there with Pat Broderick. Let me see if I can hold this still for you. Pat Broderick coming on there, and they're doing a story. There's always been this connection with Swamp Thing and Batman, all right? Going back to the Len Wein years and Bernie Wrightson. Alan Moore brought him in. There's always a connection with him. But there's a DC Comics Presents, I think it's number 85, that Alan Moore wrote. Rick Betch did the art. It was Superman. He ended up getting a Kryptonian fungus that was, you know, pretty much killing him. So he drives off down to the swamp of Louisiana, drives to pretty much die so he doesn't hurt anybody as he's dying. They kind of took that story and did it with Batman in this a little bit, just from where I was flipping through it. So it's kind of cool to be a completist, but I was kind of let down. It wasn't that much of an original story. Never cared for Top Cow, but I'm hearing good things about the new Aphrodite 5, a new take on Aphrodite 9 by Brian Hill. Yeah, now we're getting into areas where I probably flipped through those books and saw them in like a comic book shop or something back in the day, but they just weren't my thing. Somebody could talk me into it, if we get into that stuff. And then I got some Swamp Thing books. I'm getting to where I'm just picking up doubles. I have an entire run of the Alan Moore stuff, a huge run of the stuff after that. Some issues way before that. But to me, this Alan Moore Swamp Thing run is one of my favorite runs of all time, right there with Starman and Sandman. And I just grab, extra issues here and there when I see them if they're affordable and I'm not really seeing a lot of other stuff I want. And then Rick Vetch came on here after it. And a couple of months ago, I think it was a live stream. Somebody asked me about the Rick Vetch run. And I said I felt like it took him a minute to get on his feet. And after that, it was a great run. Holy crap, man. I got so corrected that this is a classic run. So Rick Vetch's stuff is a classic run. I have him on Facebook, and he's always showing artwork and stuff going back to the 70s that he's done. He's a great guy to have on Facebook just so you can just see his work and stuff, right? But these books are fantastic. There's number 70. We brought in Constantine, and I love his work. I love his work that he did on this book. I think this is an early Dave McKean cover. I'm gonna have to research it a little bit. This is pre-Sandman, pre-Vertigo, Neil Gaiman, everything. Just great stuff, man. But yeah, there's being able to back up and get some of those runs there. Okay, what do we got here? I've been into Creepy and Eerie lately, reading some library trades. If I keep enjoying them, I'll probably pick up a few, some oddly expensive on the aftermarket. I think some trades are out of print. Yeah, and then Dark Horse has been putting out, for years, they've been putting out these hardcover collected editions that are super expensive. But I was able to pick up a Vampirella over there. I could show you the format if I wanted and got it. Creepy and Eerie are good stuff. Yep, I agree with you, Scott. And then we have someone, hey, what's up? This is it. This is what's up, man. Just doing a little live show this morning. So some of the other things I picked up, kind of getting away from comics and stuff, but, I just love how things that you like that you think are kind of outside of comics all end up tying up into it stuff. But there's a 10-book set of these Conan books doing the Robert E. Howard and L. Sprague, the camp stories and stuff. But I went through them. They were $1 a piece. I'm probably going to regret not getting them. They had Boris covers on them, Frank Frazetta covers on them. But, of course, I get the first one. These are the stories from magazines and collected editions of the original Conan stories all put together in this one. And then we had, this is volume 7 out of 10. Yep, I busted up the step. But this has my favorite Conan story in it called Red Nails, which I just think is fantastic. What will you be looking for? Hey, Steve's asking, what will you be looking for at Baltimore? I really don't know. The thing I liked about Baltimore is where it's different dealers than I deal with, because I see the same ones around here, and just the whole atmosphere up there in Baltimore. This would be the second time I'm going to Baltimore. Kind of going to be like for a free for all. Just looking for good deals. I think I'm sure the closer I get to the con, I'm going to do that thing where my head starts working. That's how it works. I'll have things that I want to look for and everything like that, but it really doesn't get refined until the closer I get to it. I once found some EC Comic Trades hardcover and new for $2 at a book sale. I once got a Tarzan novel with Neil Adams art. I think it was $2. Picked it up. Those are deals, and those sound wonderful. What are you going to be looking for, Steve? Yeah. All right, and then got 2 records. I think they're just kind of funny. I'm just doing this because, oh, look what I found. There's the Batman book that I was talking about to begin with. Batman 213, the other book that was coverless that I read when I was 4. Anyway, amazing. So anyway, just real quick, I got some vinyl here. Arcadia. It's an offshoot of Duran Duran. I'm not going to get into it. But if you ever listen to Election Day and figure out what that song is about, let me know. It's a great song it's a staple of the 80s. And then I had to get this. I mean, these were super cheap, and the regulars are in great shape. So now I get to turn around and say Bright Eyes when I see this. Okay. All right, guys, 30 minutes into it. That seems to be my golden spot there. Oh, Charlton's going to be looking for My Grace Adventure number 80. Oh, you're speaking to my heart there. Very nice. Very nice. So we're at the 30-minute mark. That's, like I said, that's my sweet spot. It seems like when I take my time doing this, I hit about 30 minutes. So unless there's any questions or anything, I might hop off here. I'll give it just a minute. Anything you guys want me to talk about or ask questions about? Because I'm going to be on here a little bit more regularly, at least every other week. Okay, so sub and share and do that thing. Because I'm going to be experimenting with different types of videos and stuff. I have a friend who collects vinyl, mostly Frank Sinatra. That is hilarious. I absolutely know no one that listens to Frank Sinatra, but everybody knows who he is. So. I love vinyl. I found at the flea market, I found somebody who sold some high quality, high dollar vinyls. And we're talking about they had Ramones records, the Bowie records, Lou Reed records, Rolling Stone records. I didn't look to see if there was Beatles, but it was just fantastic. And he actually let me know about there's vinyl conventions that go on that you don't pay a fee to go into. So I may be getting on some sites here and finding some vinyl conventions. I mean, you don't have to pay to get in, so I'm not going to lose any money going. Favorite creepy or eerie artist? Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm going completely blank. He's the guy that Hernandez. This guy, I have to grab my Vampirella. Alfred Alcada. Oh, you're catching me off guard here, man. He's right on the tip of my tongue. Do you have any embarrassing picture discs? No. Wrightson. Yeah, Wrightson is always a favorite there. Oh, the guy I'm thinking about is, it's killing me. I'll have to get off here after this and pick up my Vampirella trade and kick myself for forgetting his name. I grew up listening to Nat King Cole. My dad had a bunch of cassettes that we listened to in the car. See, when I do road trips when I'm doing it for work or to go to these conventions or just, getting out on the road for whatever and stuff, I really think 50s and 60s are the way to go when it comes to listening to music. I mean, it feels like you should be on the Stand By Me soundtrack all the way. There's just something about being on an interstate highway and having old doo-wop music playing. Steve Ditko drew from them. I think Orlando did too. Orlando's so underrated. I don't know if he's just kind of faded with the tranquility there as times went by or anything like that. But Joe Orlando was a very important figure in comics, talent-wise, and the things that he ended up working on. I mean, he ended up working on The Watchmen also. God, what is that guy's name? It's killing me. Okay, whoever asked me the eerie and creepy question, you officially got in my head. So, damn sleeping pill. Speaking of Steve Ditko, I'll be doing a panel in a couple months. I was asked to do it on a tribute of Steve Ditko. So I may do a video for a tribute of Steve Ditko as a dry run, or I may just record the panel and put it on here. I'm not sure. I can't remember if Magnus Crater did too. No, I don't know. Magnus was really interesting. The guy that created that worked on Tarzan, and he just took the whole idea of Tarzan and decided he's going to reverse it. Instead of a jungle, it's a futuristic city. Instead of monkeys and stuff and things like that, it was robots. Magnus Robot Fighter was purposely created to be the opposite of Tarzan. Oh, that's funny. All right, guys. I think that's it. People are dropping out. I think I'm done. So, hit that bell to let you know I'm going to be doing some live shows off and on. I'm going to check out and see how this one loaded. Russ Manning. Nice, Steve. Nice. I'm so slow this morning. So I'm going to get me another Frappuccino, I think. Try to fight off this little sleeping pill. All right, guys. I will catch you later. Scott came in there. Everybody's yelling at Russ Manning now. That is a cool way to end this. All right, guys. Thanks for checking it out. And, yeah, carry on. Like I said, hit the bell. Thumb up, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to be doing live streams left and right probably for a while. Thanks, guys.